Mr. John Darr, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
John, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Before we really get into anything, I gotta know this first. And in your opinion, what's a seemingly innocent place but wildly inappropriate place to have a conversation?
Where is an inappropriate place to have in a movie theater?
All right, absolutely, 100% agree. For me, John, I'm gonna go with something a little more. You might not think about it, but in the checkout line of the grocery store, I feel like if you're not immediately in front of or behind somebody, you should not be talking. At that point, it becomes like a communal discussion, which it rarely happens. I don't care what's going on. I don't know. I don't want to know what your kids are doing. I can overhear it. It's just awkward because everybody's stopping, paying attention to this thing, and there's like 20 people and only two people are having a conversation. I don't know, John. I don't know if you have those sorts of things in life where it just bothers you, but uh, that's just me, man.
Well, you don't need
Well,
to don't go to the grocery store with me because my kids won't go to the grocery store with me anymore. That even when they were younger, because they said, "Dad, every time you go to the grocery store, it is an hour long trip. You cannot walk one aisle without even knowing somebody and striking up a conversation with most people." So I will tell you, Joey, you do not want to go to the grocery store with me because not only will I talk to the person next to me, I probably will talk to the person behind them and the third person behind them, and it's just I'm sure it's painful for some.
so you're an offender of my.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I don't think we've ever had that happen before. That's awkward. We'll try and move past that. Well, I will say, is that not a sign of a good insurance agent?
it is. It is a secret to my success. Is I'm an extrovert, so I actually get energy from that kind of stuff. I can go to the grocery store, talk to everybody, come home like on like maximum energy level. Whereas most people are like, "Oh my God, shoot me! I'm so exhausted from going to the grocery store. I'm going to go to bed now, and whatever." But yeah, no, I think it's been something that I've enjoyed, and probably would tell you that it's a part of my success is being able to converse with any old stranger.
Well, I didn't think you were going to lead me down this path so perfectly, John. But the thing I kind of wanted to know was what are your rules of engagement for those types of scenarios? Like, how do you proceed about? Because I feel like there's places that could be discussed when in terms of insurance conversations. You could be having insurance conversations, but people tend to not, or they're just I don't want to talk about it here. I don't want to do this. But again, keeping things friendly. How do you proceed when you're dealing just out and about talking to folks? Like, when do you draw the line? When do I talk business? When do I not? Like, how does that work for you?
I think that every time that I tried to talk about insurance, it was not received anywhere near like if I don't talk about insurance. It has been a mission of mine to let people know that I am an insurance agent, but not come out and say, "Hey, so and so, when does your auto insurance expire?" That's never worked for me. I think the biggest thing is just to engage them, and if I can use one of the things that I try to do is if I know their name or can use their name in a sentence, "Hey Joey, how you doing?" I intentionally try to use their name. Now, if it's just a stranger that I don't know, then it's obviously, "Hey, how you doing?" One of those things. It gets a little weird sometimes, but obviously, if I know them from anything, from anywhere, in a group of any sort, I don't talk about insurance at all. And 3 out of 75% of the time, they're the ones that will bring up insurance to me because I'm in Florida, and I don't know if you know this, but rates in Florida are just going through the roof. So most of the time, it's, "Oh yeah, John, that's right. I need to call you about my home insurance, whatever, if they're not a client. And "Yeah, I need you to shop my home insurance. I need to talk to you about my auto insurance," or, little Johnny turned 16 and oh my gosh, that kind of thing is what typically happens.
I already have too many questions. I'm going to try and pace myself, but I guess the first one I kind of want to dive into a little bit more. So you could, let's say, theoretically know somebody or be having just conversation with somebody for however many years potentially before they even approach. I guess what's your sort of what's the average you think of, like, again, making yourself known, having that introduction, being on a conversational basis with somebody before they end up knocking on your door or ringing the phone up.
More than you would think. I've always tried to make it known that I'm an insurance agent first. I'm a big golfer. I play a lot of golf events and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, it has come pretty easy to me to have conversations and transition to insurance. And I would tell you probably the biggest thing is listening to these people talk. I think I made a LinkedIn post this week and I talked about how to grow your network. And I talked a little bit about introducing myself to people, engaging them, making eye contact, that sort of thing, and just say, be more interested in listening to what they do has worked more than me telling them what I do, because everybody's tuned to one radio station, WIFM, and they want to talk about themselves. Well, if you are somewhat aware of how to hold the conversation, usually it's real easy to get people talking about themselves. If you pay attention, they typically will open the door for you to say, "Oh, I hear you have a new Ferrari. Really? How did you get that insured?" "Oh, you're headed to, or you bought a new, commercial building. Oh, really? Great. Did you get quotes on that, or how'd you get that? How'd that go?" That kind of thing. So if you listen to what the other person's saying, typically you can find a place to jump in and remind them that you're an insurance agent without knocking them on the forehead.
Well, as I was listening, John, you might have tipped your hand as to the type of client you might be dealing with if you're insuring said Ferraris potentially. So it might not be the run of the mill auto that people are adding or subtracting from their policy. So there's that. I definitely want to get back to that. I want to really quickly jump back to the grocery store real quick. So you said your kids refuse to go because again, everybody. You're having, let's say, on average, 10 to 15, maybe 20 conversations. How many clients are in the mix there? Like, what's the ratio of like I've already got this taken care of versus like these are guys that I
Oh,
just
so
know from
I see
around
what you're
town?
saying. Yeah, so we insure 15,000 clients in this town, so, and there's only probably, it's in Gainesville. There's 200,000 people in the county, of which 50,000 of them are students at the University of
Okay.
Florida. So it's a pretty high. I think it's a pretty high percentage. But yeah, a lot of them are already our client at some level. But most of the time, you'd be amazed at how we don't write everything for them. We don't write an umbrella, or if I know that we write their home and auto, I'm asking them, "Hey, what's going on in your life?" That kind of thing, and they say, "Oh, little Johnny turns 16 next week. Awesome. Did you get an umbrella quote from us yet?" That kind of thing. But you have to listen. You have to get them to talk about something. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. Do you have a go-to line? And I guess I'm pretty sure you dabble on both sides of the fence, personal and commercial. Do you approach it any differently? Is there again sort of a secret, like just subtle, like little conversational hack that you have that you kind of go into, just knowing that you're going to grease the wheels a little bit, open up that conversation, crack a joke? Do you have like a standard like dad joke that you go to?
Not really. If they're tied to real, like say it's a real estate agent, how's have you sold anything lately? How are the closings going? Have interest rates affected your business at all? And try to walk them down that path, and not only just because I want to sell them insurance, but I genuinely like to hear different things. So if I know they're a realtor, I'll talk to them about that piece. If they're a contractor in the construction business of some sort, how is it finding help? We also write benefits, so we do employee benefits. So how's finding help going? Oh, I can't find anybody. I can't seem to find good help. That kind of thing. Well, have you tried, paying 100% of their employee benefits? You're going to find some people that will go to work for you just for the benefits. Oh, well, I never thought of it that way. Oh, well, give me a call and we'll put together a plan for you that may help you get more people. So I try to. depending on what, if I know what the person does, and typically I know what they do, I'll try to ask them questions about, again, about their life and what's going on in their life. And then I somehow can think enough on my feet to kind of direct the conversation.
Did you ever? Was there ever like? I guess as you sort of progressed through your career, you sort of let it slip before we got started. It's been nearly, you said, around 3 decades that you've been at it. So have you noticed like making jumps in terms of levels of clientele? Like again, back to maybe having somebody that is owning a Ferrari. To agents are always looking to go to the next level of who they can talk to. Types of business owners. Is there any intimidation? Like how did you sort of gradually work your way up? Is it something that you had sort of an intentional plan path, or is it just comes along with the territory of putting in your time?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I ever sat down and thought of it that way. I always, my dad told me when I started, he says, listen, literally everybody you walk past or engage with in any sort of relationship is a buyer of insurance at some level. And he said, even if you find the unicorn that says, look, I don't want insurance, I don't need insurance, I don't drive a car, I live under a bridge, blah blah blah. Chances are they know somebody that needs insurance. So even if you get to the point where you're like, oh yeah, I don't, maybe I'm happy. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with my agent. My agent's my best friend. He's my neighbor. Blah blah blah. Great. Well, just so you know, if you have anybody looking for insurance, just let us know. I'll be glad to help them. That's probably, I don't think I had any plan other than I tried to get in front of people that I felt like were successful. In my own personal life, I tried to surround myself with people that are successful in whatever they do. So it seemed that they also ran with other successful people. So that's, if I would tell you, if I tell agents out there, how do I know who to, prospect and get in front of? Well, I would start out with the most successful person you know and work from there. Try to become friends with, somebody that's in your life that you view as being a honest, successful, hardworking person, and you'll be amazed. They hang out with other honest, successful, hardworking people.
You're approaching my next question, but first, if you ever do get that referral from the guy that lives under the bridge, you got to let me know what that looks like because I'm curious of what that's going to be. Um,
He needs life insurance, probably. Yeah.
Hell, that's yeah. So the other, I did kind of want to go down that path of what maybe are your indicators for success. You'd mentioned honest, hardworking, all that fun stuff. Is there anything else that is easily identifiable in your opinion that again you can sort of look to and say it's a pretty good sign, a pretty good sign that this guy might be somebody that I should talk to?
Yeah. Anybody that's a business owner, chances are that they're going to be a business owner, that they're going to own a house and a car and all that stuff. But, if they're a business owner of any sort, I'm a generalist on the commercial side. We don't niche, although I wish I was more of a niche guy, but I will write the plumber, the electrician, the hardware store owner, the grocery store, any of that any business on Main Street will help and write. And I would say business owner is probably the answer.
That makes sense. I guess the other thing you mentioned was obviously being down in Florida, and I wanted to maybe give you an opportunity to let the rest of the country know maybe how good they have it outside selling insurance that isn't in Florida. Just maybe, do you feel like the sword is a little sharper down south, just generally dealing with the sort of everything you guys have to do down there?
Yeah, I mean, Florida's a tough market. It's tough to get contracts. It's tough to be profitable. It's, all the things. I don't know what the market's like in Missouri, but I would imagine it's not nearly as crazy as the Florida market. I think it's still a lot of the same tools and techniques and, procedures, I guess, are going to apply to building an agency in Missouri that would apply here in Florida. I started after Hurricane Andrew. So Hurricane Andrew was in 1992, which is a big deal. And then, I started in 93. So I've always sort of been in this turmoil type of a market. I don't really know any better because it's always been that way. Again, if I'm in some Midwest state where the homeowners premiums average $400, I think you need to focus on being a master at multi-lining your book of business, because the only way you can't make any money selling just homeowners insurance. It's just really hard, I think. When you sit down with somebody in, a state like that, you've got to be able to control the conversation in a way that will walk them down the path that they're going to talk to you about their home, their auto, their umbrella, their boat, their motorcycle, their, blah blah. You got to talk about all of it.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I guess I've maybe been catching a little bit more on the peripheral of agents talking about just again the market conditions, right, and how maybe it's a little there's maybe a little more pressure on it. What I guess what I'm looking for is how do you communicate, because the communication probably needs to be far superior in that type of environment where the client is already coming in with some level of agitation that is
Mhm.
beyond normal conditions. Being somebody that has probably just been used to it for so long, is there any tips that you have for somebody that might not deal with it in as constant of an environment as you do? Like, what are some of your guys' tips to manage expectations, keep people calm, and not trying to burn down the entire insurance system?
A lot of times, yeah. I mean, a lot of times, what we try to do is reiterate to the client that as an independent agent, our goal is to educate you on the market and what's out there, and what's on the menu. A lot of times I'll tell people, hey, there's a lot on the menu. We're a buffet style agency that you've got a lot of choices, and as an agent, we're going to try to help you get access to the best options. And what that may mean is, if your water heater's 18 years old, or your roof is 23 years old, or your, plumbing's old, that, we're going to help you understand that when you have a 21-year-old roof, your menu goes from, appetizers and 8, 10 main entrees and dessert and all that. It goes to literally, you've got one main entree. Like, one carrier may want to play. If it's just one choice of entree and it's lasagna, well, you better hope to God you like lasagna, because if you want a hamburger, that's not on the menu until we get these other issues fixed. And then when we get all these other, get the new roof or get the new water heater or whatever, I'm going to have a better list of options for you, the client. Our goal is to try to present as get you the best deal we can get you. And as your independent agent, that's what we try to do. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think that, they call an independent agent and they go, oh, well, all insurance is the same. Or, I have insurance with John Darr. So, you'll ask them, who's your carrier? They don't even know. They just say, oh, I have insurance with John Darr. Well, no, not really. But, that's, so I try to reiterate to them that, hey, we understand your rate went up 48%. We get it. Let's sit down and talk about it. Let me ask you some questions that will answer if there is another option for you, the client, in the market. We know what you have now. Let's think about what other options are there. That's the only advice I would tell people, is we're just trying to think of it from an educator standpoint, not a, hey, I'm trying to sell you something standpoint.
John, I got possibly an impossible question for you. I'm going to give it a shot. But if you were to reflect back on your entire career, is there anything that stands out as a moment where you either figured something out that you felt confident in your ability to stick around and like, yeah, I got this, or to where you felt like you unlocked something at a different level? Just really any moment in your again career that you can look back on and say, boy, if that didn't happen, I'm not sure where I'd be today.
Well, that's a great question. I've had a lot of people around me that have helped me along the way. Key people. One of them was, he's not even in the insurance industry. He's a commercial real estate agent. Early on in my career, he made it a point. He's a very good family friend, but he made it a point to let me know that to always look at the glass half full. And it stuck with me early on. I came out of college. I played golf in college. I was super competitive. I didn't like to lose. And in insurance, you don't win every time. There's a lot of times you lose. Early on in my career, I felt like there were times when I lost and I took it real personal and I didn't like it. The guy's name is Howard Freeman. Howard would always tell me, Johnny, always try to look at the positive. Whatever the situation, I don't care what kind of situation it is, always look at the positive in that situation. So when I started thinking about that, it really became a core part of my DNA. Even when I lost an account or people get mad at me or, blame me for things and whatever, I still would say, okay, what's the positive in this situation? How can I turn this into, what did I learn? Maybe I just learned, hey, don't do that again, that kind of thing. And it really made a difference in my life. And I really don't, I think that would be the one thing that helped me, throughout my career was always, people that know me will definitely say I give people too much the benefit of the doubt. I believe in them too much. I always think, oh, this person will turn it around and they'll be great and they'll everything, be rainbows and unicorns. But it's worked for me more than it hasn't worked. So I've always been a glass half full guy because of my buddy Howard.
All right, John, I've got three more questions for you, sir. And the first one is, what's one thing you hope you never forget?
My passwords to my. um, I think I think where I came from. Who my dad started the agency. He taught me how to do this, and all the things that he taught me were basic fundamentals on how to treat people and that sort of thing. I don't focus on the money per se. I've somehow gotten paid for the things that I've sold, and I'm very lucky and blessed and thankful and appreciative of all the money that I've made over the 30 years. But I think the biggest thing is just not to forget what I've been taught, who taught it to me, and that kind of thing.
Now, on the other side of that, what's one thing you still have yet to learn?
How to say no. I still have. I've really done a terrible job saying no, and unfortunately, it causes me angst and pain, and I put too much on my plate, and sometimes things fall through the cracks. I just am always one of these guys that I struggle saying no sometimes, and you have to say no to certain things. So I'm always trying to learn how and when to say no so that I can have some balance in my life.
All right, John, last question to you, sir. If I were to hand you a magic wand of sorts to reshape, change, alter, speed up, really any part of insurance, what's that thing? Where is it going? And what's it doing?
I wish there was a magic wand that would allow somebody to clear through the crap and figure out what type of person that person is at their core. I always go into a meeting sometimes with whether we're hiring a new person or whatever, and I think, oh, this person's great. I'm so excited about this person, and and then 6 months later, I'm like, well, this person is not at all what I thought, in the beginning, and that doesn't happen that much, so I can't honestly can't say that that's a problem, but I think that the ability to get people on your team that are like you and think like you and work like you and all that. I wish there was a magic button or a magic wand that could find those folks early on and quickly. And then, my success has been giving those people the tools that they need to be successful. That part's the easy part. The hard part is finding the person that fits. And there's a lot of people that are went or were with us and they went on to work for somebody else and did wonderfully and did great. It just wasn't the right fit. But I wish there was a magic wand that would kind of strip down the core of the person that we're talking about joining the team and make that quicker.
John, this has been fantastic, sir. I'm going to leave it right there.
Thanks, Joey. I appreciate you having me on the show for sure.